Hey guys, welcome back to the show. So today I'm going to be covering a hot topic of going solo. So I'm going to cover the 5 things that you should consider before going solo from being commission-based, or if you are not yet in the field, how to decide which one's going to be best for you to start. Should you start working somewhere under someone as a commission-based esthetician, or should you go solo straight out of the gate? Welcome to The Rebel Show, the podcast for estheticians who want to grow their business, master social media, and perfect their waxing technique. I'm Bree Mesquit, esthetician, business coach, and founder of Rebel Wax and First to Market Wax Pads. I built a 6-figure clientele, a 7-figure brand, and have trained over 15,000 waxers through my in-person and online courses. Are you struggling to book clients or market yourself? You're in the right place. Each week, I bring real business strategies, waxing education, and no BS advice to help you grow. Let's get into it. All right, so some thoughts on going solo. So I feel like there's a lot of glamorization on Instagram of going solo, and I think there's a lot of things that people don't consider, which is what I'm going to be going over, but of the major responsibility that you really have once you do decide to go solo. So today, my goal is just to really break it down for you guys, I'm not biased to one side or the other. Honestly, being this far in my career now, I'm really looking at this from a whole different lens. I was talking with Ashley, who's behind the camera. Say hi to Ashley. And we were talking. I'm like, if you can find someone really great to work for and work under that pays well, commission based is not a bad gig either. So let's go over the 5 different things to consider, starting with number 1, which is going to be your income stability versus unpredictable income. So especially when you first go solo, it's so unpredictable. I'm currently in the stages of building out Rebel Wax Studio. It is the dead of winter, hence the outfit. It is literally reading -5 degrees on my car thermometer. I don't know, the thing that tells you how freaking freezing cold it is. Anyways, so that's why I look like this, because I am chilly. Anyways, with that being said, it is the dead of winter, so it is slow growing over there at Rebel Wax Studio. I am back in the trenches of going in for 1 client, maybe not having a couple clients for a few days, going in for 2, maybe have a good day and have 3 clients. So it's just that slow build at the beginning. So your income is super, super unpredictable. So that is one thing to majorly consider before going solo. So when you go solo, you need to really have some sort of cushion. You need a financial cushion, whether it's a savings, maybe your spouse can float the bills for a while you are building, but that's major thing to consider. Now, what is the ideal amount to have saved before going solo? I really would feel super, super comfy in an ideal world with 6 months of savings. Now, if that's not possible, I think 3 months is fair as well. But really having 3 to 6 months of savings is going to really take a lot of pressure and stress off of you. Now, with that being said, though, sometimes that pressure can lead us to massive action as well and can be used in our favor at the same time. Okay, so something to consider. When you're commission-based, you do have, this is depending on where you work, but you do have a steady flow of clients, especially if you're working somewhere that's already well established. When I went and started working when I was commission-based and I was working at European Wax Center, they were a very, very busy center. So my income was super predictable. I had a steady flow of clients, and it was just really nice to have that predictable income, although it is limited. So that's that give take. With going solo, you don't necessarily have a capped income. Now, I feel like we can't just loosely say that, because there's only a certain amount of hours in the day and you are one person, and it's not realistic to be working 24/7. So there is going to be at some point somewhat of a cap for sure, but it's definitely going to be a lot higher than it is if you are working commission at a salon or a spa. All right, the second thing to consider is going to be marketing and client acquisition. So client acquisition just means obtaining and acquiring new clients. So commission-based, they're going to be handling the marketing, the branding, the booking of the clients. They handle all of that stuff. Now, I have heard a lot and seen conversations on these Facebook groups and stuff of salons like requiring that of their estheticians. Now, I don't think that should necessarily be a requirement because you are an employee, but I do think that it's definitely beneficial for everybody if you do help out in that department. So, for example, Rebel Wax Studio, it is solely on me to get clients in, but hey, if my girls can go ahead and help spread the word when they're out and about with their daily, just living their daily lives, I have the little new promo cards for them to hand out to people, but I'm not depending on them solely to bring in clients. So that's something that you won't have to really worry too much about. Again, it really depends on where you work. So just as much as people are interviewing you for a position, you need to also be doing your due diligence and looking into the place that you're considering working as well. Maybe talk to past employees, do a quick Google search, see if things pop up of people, I don't know, having conversations or leaving reviews about working there. I don't know if that's the thing. Anyways, do your research on where you're going to work because, yeah, there are also those places that are, I've just heard crazy stories, and I'm sure you guys have as well. So super important, do your due diligence. So going solo, then you really need to consider and be really truthful and honest with yourself. Like, are you comfortable in marketing and advertising yourself? A lot of girls that I've talked to, especially with this coaching program I have, I do probably 3 to 5 coaching interviews a day. And a lot of the girls are just so incredibly uncomfortable with marketing themselves and talking about their service. If this is you, I don't recommend going solo, not right away. This is a skill. Now, a lot of people will confuse character traits and skills. So yes, you can being outgoing and having an outgoing personality is a character trait, but also it can be a skill that is acquired. How do you acquire a new skill? You need to study those who are really good at it, mimic them with your own brand voice, so you're being authentic, but mimic them and then just putting in the practice. So if you're really reserved and shy, that's not going to be an excuse because you have to market and tell people about your services or you're not going to have any clients coming in. I think oftentimes people think just because they rent a treatment room and they have their license that clients are magically going to appear, but that's just not the case. It's going to take a lot of you have to be active in this and be marketing and advertising yourself on a daily basis. So if you're not comfortable with that, start putting in the practice now. So that's one thing to definitely consider is the marketing aspect of it, okay? Quick interruption to the show. I wanted to make sure that you are aware of my free 6-week hard waxing 101 course that I have put out for waxers to gain confidence in the treatment room, no matter where it is in your waxing career that you are at. You will also receive a certificate of completion once you complete the course. So visit us online, lashwaxoc.com, and you will click the training tab. Now back to the show. All right, the third thing to consider is expenses and overhead costs. Now, I would love to do a future episode on this and really break down the costs because I really think after you look at everything, break down the expenses and everything, there's potential that you could make pretty dang close to what you're taking home as a solo commission-based. Again, this is all based though on where you're working. So for example, at Rebel Wax Studios, we do an hourly or commission, so 30% commission, whichever is higher for that pay period. I never want my girls just sitting around and not making money. I don't think that's fair. So that's how we base that. And I actually learned this from Tanya. Tanya is one who has mastered this whole commission base. Her girls, and this is I'm modeling her business model with this, are able to make 6 figures as commission based. So that's my goal with Rebel Wax Studio, is to be able to allow the girls room to make not just a livable wage, but a thriving wage, and be able to really just focus on being in the treatment room and enjoying servicing clients and doing what we entered this industry to do. But now, some love entrepreneurship, and I think that's amazing as well. Obviously, I'm a big proponent for that. I love entrepreneurship, but I just want to start being really honest with, how hard it truly is and that it's not for everybody, because I just feel like everyone's trying to push go solo, go solo, go solo. And while I think it's a great option, I just want you guys to have all the facts laid out so that you can make the best decision for you. All right. So expenses and overhead costs. So commission based, the salon's going to provide everything from your uniform, covering the utility. You show up to work and do your job. You don't have to cover the expenses of anything. Going solo, you're paying for everything. You're paying for your rent, your utilities, you're paying for the products. You have to keep track of inventory. You're booking your clients, you're rescheduling your clients, you're paying for the booking software, like all of it. It all falls on you. You're going to be wearing many, many hats, especially when you first go solo, because you won't have the funds yet to hire out. Eventually, and this is where this is a positive with going solo too, is you do have room for growth with that. If you already have that like entrepreneurial spirit, then know that you're going to be in the trenches for a little while, but then you can work towards growth where you're hiring a team. You have maybe an accountant or bookkeeper. You have an assistant or a receptionist eventually. Maybe you get another waxer in there and you pay them commission while you're not using your treatment room. Because again, we're one person. You're not going to be working 24/7. So another thing to consider, you're paying for absolutely everything, and you need to keep track of everything too. So that's fun. We're in the midst of like tax season right now and getting all that prepared. I'm an S Corp, so ours is actually due in March, a month early, and it's not fun. I don't love this part of it, but it's all part of it, and I knew what I was signing up for. All right, the fourth thing to consider before going solo as a SD is scheduling and workload. So I kind of touched on that on the last one. I got a little ahead of myself, but you're scheduling your clients, you're confirming your clients, you're dealing with any upset customers, you're doing everything. You're setting your hours, you're doing admin, taxes, like I mentioned, inventory, like I mentioned. That is probably the two biggest things I see girls struggling with is marketing and advertising, taxes, and their inventory. So let me know actually what you guys are specifically, if you're already solo and you're listening in on this, what is your biggest struggle? Because I would like to help you guys create systems to be able to somewhat automate some of this stuff. So, I know for me, now I'm getting a little off track, but Gloss Genius has been so huge on helping me automate a lot of this for Rebel Wax Studios from the very beginning. So I use their inventory tracker, and it's just made things so much easier. So if any of this stuff you guys are struggling with and you don't know how to manage it or create systems for it, let me know in the comments below, and then I will do a training lesson or a podcast. If you guys don't know, I do demos and training videos every Thursday here on my channel as well, for those of you who are watching on YouTube. If you guys are listening on a podcast platform, make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel so you can check out those training videos as well. And then every Monday, of course, is the Rebel Show. All right. So enough of that. It's a lot. That's the key takeaway. It's a lot. You're wearing all hats. All right. Fifth thing, growth and potential long-term vision. All right. So commission-based, your earning potential is capped. So that's one of the reasons why I ended up leaving European Wax Center. I really liked working there. I didn't necessarily love the leadership and the management, but I also just know like that's just when you work for someone, you're not going to love all aspects of it. And ultimately it's their business. They get to call the shots. But I was happy with the income that I was making, but then I realized like, okay, this is it. I can't make more than this. And granted, I had, 3 kids. Actually, my third was on the way. And we lived in Newport Beach, California. Extremely expensive place to live, so it just wasn't cutting it. So you're limited to your product, retail, promotions, like it's tips. There's a certain limit to it. So I was the highest level waxer, red level waxer. I could do up to 5 services in 15 minutes, which now absolutely blows my mind because I've definitely slowed down. I'm feeling a little old. But anyways, I was like, there was nowhere out. Like there was just no way. There was no way I could do more than that. I hit all the retail bonuses, all the upsell bonuses, like it definitely was capped, and it just wasn't cutting it for where I was living. So that's one thing to consider. And then with going solo, you have the growth path of maybe you go into, well, first of all, you can easily make 6 figures for sure. Some commission based, you can make 6 figures as well, but you might even then transfer down the line. Please don't do this too early, but maybe you start training other waxers. Maybe you can add training and different revenue streams. So a lot of my coaching clients that I'm working with, we're trying to think of other and come up with other revenue or income streams for them. So maybe putting out a digital product for people, or if you focus on facials, I know I'm very wax focused, but you might be an esthetician listening to this that does facials. You could do virtual consultations and start selling some products online. So there's so many different paths that you can take. You can start having some brand deals and ambassadorships, and there's a lot of different opportunities. So that's something to consider as well. And then also considering, are you willing to invest in your education, business help strategy, coaching, mentorship, because you're going to get to a point where we can get our businesses by ourselves to a certain point. But there's a saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Is that how it goes? I feel like I messed that up. But if it doesn't go like that, it's true. So I've learned that, like, I got to a certain point and then it was time to bring other people in. As a solo esthetician, you can be capped as well by your own personal growth. So mindset, personal development is super, super important. If you guys haven't read the book, my coach recommends, so see, I have a business coach and mentor as well, and he's helped us break through those glass ceilings and get to the next level. Anyways, he recommended a book to me called The Upper Limit, and it's by Gay Hendricks, I believe. We'll have it linked in the description below, but super, super, super good book. So eye-opening. But we all have a certain limit that based on maybe our past, our childhood, different things put onto us generationally. And once you hit that, it's really hard to break past it on your own without being super intentional about your personal development, mindset growth, and also bringing other people in as well. So that's something you have to ask yourself. Are you willing to do that? Because going solo will be one of the hardest things that you ever do, but can also be extremely rewarding as well. But I really want you, those of you listening, please don't feel pressure that this is what you feel you need to do because everyone else online is doing it. Just really take self-inventory and say, is this the path for me? Because we can be successful on either path, commission-based or going solo. Also, there's a season for everything. My biggest recommendation is go commission-based first, get some experience, get in the field, and then maybe go solo later on. So I never recommend going solo if you have not mastered your technique yet. And I know you guys, if you've been listening to any of my podcasts or in the past or follow me on social media, I've said this over and over and over. Don't go solo if you're still mastering and working on your technique, because your reputation then, it follows you. When you're working under someone, you're working under their business, their name, their brand. And when we're learning, we make mistakes. And of course, that's fine. That's how we learn. But if you're solo, it's solely that reputation is on you. And a bad reputation can be really, really, really difficult to rebuild back from. So make sure you have that baseline first. I'll throw that in as a bonus. Number 6 thing to consider is my technique solid? Am I good at am I providing a really great service for my clients? That's super, super important. So final thoughts. Going solo is definitely powerful, and but it does require a shift, a mindset shift, and knowing that you are not just a service provider anymore. Now you are becoming an entrepreneur, and with that comes a lot of responsibility. It's going to test you, and it comes with just being fully 100% committed to your growth and your personal development. So, all right, I hope this was helpful. I hope it didn't discourage any of you. But again, I'm just so sick of seeing all the just fluff and the the highlight reel of being an entrepreneur and the highlights of being solo. And there are highlights, and those should be showcased for sure. But there's also the downsides too. So I just want to get really real on that, so that you guys can make the best decision for yourself. And then we can work through these things too, because just because it's hard doesn't mean it's bad. I think we equate too often hard to a negative, but like hard's fine. Doing hard things is great. It grows you, it stretches you. In a weird way, it does motivate to keep going. I know that can seem counterintuitive, but when you complete and work through a really hard hurdle, the confidence that you get, and then there's just another hurdle behind it. So life is full of hurdles. It's going to be hard regardless if you go solo or you're commission-based. If you're commission-based, it's going to be hard too. You're going to have issues with other employees, so your coworkers. You might not like the boss. You're going to still have pain in the butt clients. Sometimes you're going to have wonderful clients too. Like, there's positives and negatives of everything. So what I really want you guys to focus on is just becoming an overcomer, building that resilience muscle, and not letting hard things stop you. The more you can problem solve and just be an overcomer, the more success you're going to have no matter which direction you take it. So, all right, I hope this was helpful. I hope it gave you some clarity. If you guys have any further questions, you want me to dive deeper on anything, you guys are struggling with anything in particular, please let me know in the comments below. Like, turn on notifications, subscribe, share with a friend, and I will see you guys back next week.